seeing levels, and I'm hearing young Kells yelling about turning my dryer on. So that must mean one effing thing. That means that my safe word is more is in the building, and that means you're here.
I'm back.
Al Jackson. And I was about to introduce this person that is so excited. They're already saying something. My girl is sitting across from me. Finally, after all the technical difficulties, I get to talk to my damn friend. Give it up for Corinne Kaplan. And my safe word is more. Corinne, how the hell are you?
Dude, I'm good. I was gone for 8 days. I went to Orlando, which I hate. I am from Florida, and everyone from Florida knows Orlando is garbage city. Sorry to everyone that lives there. I actually once got into like a Twitter war. I'm just going to get myself in trouble here, but like I went to the University of Florida, and when I was growing up.
Shout out Gators.
Yeah, go Gators. When I was growing up, it was if you were really smart. I mean, everyone did this prepaid Florida college program, and so your parents pay at birth for whatever it's going to cost in 18 years. They pay whatever it is right now.
It's a lot of pressure on a 0-year-old.
Yeah. Yes. Anyways, I have always disliked Orlando as a city, and
it's horrible.
Yes. And so a couple years ago, I had a friend that was going to a UCF football game, and I was like, LOL, you mean Florida's safety school? Because everybody tries to go to Miami, FSU, or UF. UF is very much better than the rest of them. I'm not just saying that. You can Google this. And if you can't get into those, your safety school is like UCF, USF, whatever. They went wild, like absolutely went nuts on me. And I was like, I'm not like this is factual. Anyway, so I have like a problem with Orlando. I don't like it. I don't like it.
That's one of those things where like it doubles down on the insult, because we live in a world now where, you know, people just expect a mea culpa. Listen, I did not mean to say that about your school.
No, I did.
It's a fine school. But that's why I love you, Corinne. You don't back down off of how you feel. And I think that's why the audience loves you, is because you're the only person that goes, I misspoke. No, you're the only person that does not say that. You're like, no, I meant what I said. And it stops people in their tracks, because they're like, nobody else. Usually people are kissing my ass by now, but not you.
No, I mean, it's just, these are factual things. It is not as hard to get into as the other Florida schools. Right. That's why it's a safety school.
They used to be called party schools, and there's some pride in that.
Yeah. And so the bigger issue I have with Orlando is obviously the plane ride there is going to be full of children. Everybody's so fucking excited to see the big mouse. And it's just an unpleasant overall situation. Like there's no, like Orlando it's central Florida, so it's not near a beach. There's, you know, like our hotel. Oh God, this is the worst. My company does meetings at these fucking Gaylords. Have you ever been to a Gaylord?
I have.
Oh, my God.
There's one here in Denver.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We have one that we would obviously never go to. It's by the airport.
It's a hotel chain that is built around conventions.
Right.
And it's just like, what's the worst thing that could be at a hotel? I don't know, a convention? Well, how about if that's all the hotel is?
Yeah.
Dentists and porn stars. I've been to 2 hotels where there was furry conventions going on. Did I tell you about that?
No, but that's more interesting than the convention I was at.
I want to hear about yours, and then we'll talk about the furry convention I stumbled into.
I accidentally stumbled into a furry convention at a defunct zoo that also had hiking trails, and I kept seeing,
What?
Yes.
You have to explain.
When I first moved to Hollywood, California, I went to an area that used to house the zoo. So there are like caves and cages, but like they're defunct, and there's a bunch of hiking trails around there. I don't remember what the hell I was doing there. Oh, I do, actually. My friend was going to take headshots of me, and I couldn't afford a real photographer.
At a closed zoo?
She was like, I know a great spot. And so we're there, and I'm like,
was the plasma clinic closed? That's really depressing.
I was like, there's a really nice brick wall by the 7-Eleven. Why can't we do it there? So I see like a guy
Here's where a giraffe didn't make it.
Yeah. I see a guy in a skunk costume, and I was like, well, that's an odd choice. And then I see like 3 more people in costumes, and they had little like "Hello, my name is" badges. And the name of if I remember correctly, it was L.A. Purrs. And it was for the furry community. Listen, we're not kink shaming here. It's just I did come across, because there was these little like cells where the animals used to be housed, and that's where they were fucking. And so we were looking for more location shots, and I see like one has the mascot head off. He's sucking the other one off. And so I'm like, oh, this seems really inconvenient. Like if you're going to go all the way in on costumes, then I feel like you have holes in the costumes maybe. I don't know. It just seemed like it was hot as hell in LA. It was middle of summer. It's just an inconvenient kink, I feel.
It's an inconvenient kink unless you live in like northern Canada.
Yes.
Where you can just be like, this is almost like a business expense at this point. You actually went to like a fun one where they were going at it. Mm-hmm. I went to my daughter's volleyball tournament in San Jose, California. And, this was, and for this to make sense, you have to understand like the dread of me going to this. Not that I love watching my daughter play volleyball. She's since hung up her whatever, not cleats, whatever you wear for volleyball, her knee pads. But, her team was horrendous. And it's like, you know what it was like? Her team was like, how like there's a Disney movie where there's a team that sucks and then there's a coach that like it was a professional, but like he was a drunk or something. So like he's out of the league and then he meets these kids and he learns about himself through them. It was like that, but the coach never showed up. So just for an hour and a half, the movie, they just sucked and then the movie ends and you're like, what was that? Mm-hmm. And so like it was just this weird. I was already like, I'm paying $2,000. My daughter's team would get beat so badly. One time I was with her mom. We were watching the game, and I went to go get some nachos from concession. I came back, and I was like, "How is this game not started yet?" And she's like, "They've already lost."
No.
I swear on my grandmother's and my father's life, like it just like they were so bad. And so I'm going to this tournament, and I fly up there, you get the rental car, you're doing all the expensive. Not in my city things, and I'm walking to the convention center, and I see like at the time, I'm like, oh, there's a bunch of mascots because this is a state tournament. And like I'm walking in a state tournament. There are 8th grade girls that are 6'2". I'm like, we're going to get murdered. Murdered.
Wait, so your thinking was this is so important that they flew the mascots out?
Yes,
okay.
Because I'm not thinking furries at 9:30 in the morning with a cup of coffee in my hand.
With young kids everywhere.
And don't worry, everybody, there are a lot of pictures. I walk into the convention center and I see there's an arrow that said 8th grade girls volleyball tournament, state volleyball tournament. And then the other arrow was FurCon 2018. Yeah. And there were furries. There were thousands of them.
Okay, but so in my case, this was definitely like we getting down. This was not like, oh, let's take pictures. No, everyone was fucking.
What time of day was this?
Middle of the day.
Shut up.
Middle of the day. And I'm telling you, it was the summer in LA. It was hot. In my headshot, I'm wearing a spaghetti strap purple. It was hot. And it was also hot for them. Listen, write in. If you're into the furry culture, I would like to better understand, because it just seemed like a real pain in the ass to get your body parts out of those costumes. At one point, there was one that was dressed like a monkey, and he was hanging from the bars, but he had half of his bottoms off. It was just mayhem.
Why wouldn't you have a compartment where you could open and close at will? Because I'm assuming there's somebody that makes furry costumes. And there's probably a way when you're filling out your what do you want your outfit to be? Do you want a tail? Do you want feet with the nails coming out of them? Do you want what?
Do you want a hole for your vagina?
Do you want a hole? How many? It just says It just has holes.
Yeah.
And then
there's a blank.
Yeah, 1, 2, or 3.
Because you need a mouth hole as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot, and also, Corinne, we cannot move past this topic until we talk about. The first thing I thought about when you started talking about sexual exploits in the middle of the day in Los Angeles wearing a furry costume.
Swamp ass?
What is the ball yank situation? Because it's got to be like Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
Baton Rouge.
Yes. That costume is moist. Yeah.
Can't imagine.
I don't know.
You just have to really want to do that. But I would just say this. It ended. Mine didn't end in sex. How mine ended was there's an article. Some furries broke up a woman being sexually assaulted in a car that night. Like some guy was trying to sexually assault a woman in a car,
and he didn't notice giant animal heads walking around the car.
It was at night, so these furries opened the door, yanked this dude out, and beat the man.
In their costumes.
Yes.
Oh, damn. That's like a great superhero movie, or like.
I'm here for that.
Furries Save the Day. Yeah. I like watching any kind, I'm a voyeur. So I always think that's, we've talked about how we got the name My Safe Word Is More, and it's because, like, I joined Club Joy because I just wanted to see other people having sex, and I was just curious. But, like, I didn't touch anyone. I didn't.
What did you observe with other people having sex with each other?
Okay, so in the case of this Club Joy place, which I'm sure is still around and very Googleable, first and foremost, they don't give you the location. They change the location a lot, and they didn't give it to us until, like, that day. So it was very much in the middle of absolutely nowhere. It was very far. We lived in Hollywood, but it was probably like an hour away. And first and foremost, they make you bring your own alcohol and you check it in a cubby, which I loved because you know how particular I am. So I don't have to worry that they're not going to have mezcal or like a good smoky whiskey.
Right.
Because
you don't want to be drinking tequila at an orgy.
My worst case scenario, and this is my go-to, like when I was like young and I had to drink something, like I will suffer through a rum and Diet Coke. I will not suffer through any other mixed drink, period. And I can't drink like Pabov vodka straight. So that's like really, really awful. Anyways, we get there, we bring like a $300 bottle of red wine, and we're like, maybe we'll make friends. But again, our catchphrase was, we are voyeurs, not exhibitionists. And that's how you tell people like, thanks, but no thanks. So we walk in immediately. So first and foremost, there's themes, and they're all like eyes wide shut-ish in that you can have your face obscured, which in our case, we needed to have our faces obscured. So we had like a mask on, and then I just had like a G-string and bra on, and I think I may have taken the bra off, but our faces were obscured. And I was like excited to see what we could see. We picked it because we knew Larry Flint from Hustler frequents it, which for whatever reason I decided was like the greatest Yelp review, right? Like Larry Flint allowed himself to be photographed and was like co-promoting this Club Joy. And so I was like, yeah, like, let's go. This sounds great. When we got there, I immediately realized that, like, first of all, we were the belle of the ball because we were far more attractive than everyone else there.
I was going to ask that.
That's problematic. You don't actually want to be the best looking people in a sex club.
Especially if you're not mixing it up with the unwashed masses down there.
Exactly. So we're down there, and it's a multi-story situation. Like the first floor, they had set up like hoses out of the ceiling, and so it was like a shower situation on the first floor. There was, so you could like get naked and fuck and showers. And then there was a bunch of rooms that had like just cascading mattresses so you could like run trains. And there was vats of sanitizer everywhere, to their credit. There was vats of lube everywhere. There were like cookie jars full of condoms. But again, we were not, I literally not shaming. I am far too big of a germaphobe. We get really fucked up, right? And so my partner that I was with at the time, I was like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. I go to the bathroom. I come out and he is waist deep in the Costco cookies. So there's a buffet, as every good sex club. So there's vats of lube. There's just the smell of sex in the air. And there's also a buffet, which is basically just shit you could get at Costco. There's like a quesadilla platter. There's watermelon. There's some cookies. And I see him eating. I get out. I slap the cookie out of his hand. I was like, what are you fucking doing?
That's so gross.
And he's like, I'm kind of hungry. And I was like, we're not going to be eating anything here.
Anything.
There's so much jizz in the air. Like, I was like thinking of wearing safety goggles. Like, there's no way. So
that's I never thought it could be worse than eating at the strip club buffet.
Nope, this is worse.
And you leveled up.
You
took a one. That's why I love you.
Yes. And there was a lot of really, again, I don't need to keep apologizing. Everyone who's listening knows that I'm like a little not PC, but I don't mean any harm. There were a lot of amputees at this place.
Oh.
And there was a lot of putting the amputee parts in places. And that was very interesting. I want you guys to know Alice, for some reason, wearing a tie today. He looks like I just told a Jehovah's Witness.
You look like you're telling this to your accountant. Yes. It's like, so can we deduct that?
Yes.
Yeah, I came straight from work, so I look ridiculous.
There was like a room that and like I said, they put this. I'm pretty sure they like put these things in the warehouse. They changed the locations, so they had like stapled swings into one part of it, and like there was like a guy with no legs swinging into a woman, and like just. There was like a lot of things going on. Anyways, I'm a very talkative person. I was so excited to be there. And so I saw another, what I thought to be like pretty normal, attractive-ish couple. I would say 98% of the people here, you would not want to see naked. This was a rough.
Give me a number average, 1 to 10. What's the average? 2. Stop it.
They were grossly obese to just really unattractive. I think what it seemed to me like was a bunch of people, and I feel bad now. I'm not trying to dog this place. Maybe we'll bleep the name out. It was a lot of people that probably couldn't get laid and were like, well, if I go to the sex romp place,
Right.
Everybody's fucking because nobody
Contractually.
cared. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I start befriending this couple because there was a pool table and I was like, oh, let's play pool. Even though like that's like the least exciting thing you could do there. And so this couple and I and my boyfriend at the time or whatever, partner, I don't know, whatever, the guy that I was dating and taking to sex clubs. We started playing pool with this couple and I really liked them. They were fun. They were funny.
What are you guys wearing during this pool game?
I'm wearing a G-string, maybe a bra, maybe not. And he's wearing just underwear. And I don't remember, the other couple was probably like scarcely dressed like as well. Lots of people were just straight naked. But again, like I was not trying to, I don't know, catch any extra things.
Yeah, you guys are already here as
needed
bona fide cock teasers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're like befriending this couple and I think everything's going great. And then my boyfriend says to me, he's like, we've run into a problem. So the girl propositioned him and like so we had gotten them around to drinks. They got us around to drinks. And he's like, this is exactly like what we didn't want to have happen. So he politely tells them like, we're not actually going to fuck anybody here. And they were pissed. Like they had put in sweat equity. They were mad.
Yeah, this isn't a pool tournament.
No.
I'm on their side on this side. You guys
wrong.
want to come and do fun camp activities. They're like, hey, bruh, clock's ticking.
Yeah. So we like wasted a good portion of like an hour of their time playing pool and drinking with them. And they were like, what the fuck was the point of this? We're not here to not get laid. like, and
I'm on their side on that one. You should have started the pool game just knowing like this game isn't leading anywhere but to more pool.
Yeah.
It's hard because you are naked.
So I'm sharing this information so that you, Al, if you go.
Any regrets? Would you ever, if these were beautiful people, would you have been engaged?
No. I don't know. And I trust the guy I was dating. If there were good-looking people there, he would have been happy to engage. I do not share my men.
Would you have had a problem with him engaging?
Yes, a huge problem.
You can't take him to the sex club and have a huge
Yes, I
problem.
can.
You can have a problem. You didn't take him to get your brakes fixed and then he ends up with the...
Okay. That's fair. But here's the problem. I would go with a man to a strip club because those dancers are not doing anything other than dancing and grinding.
Sure they're not.
Unless
Okay,
you're
buddy.
in the champagne room.
Where are you from?
Yeah.
Mayberry?
Yeah.
And then they go home.
Yeah.
After some volunteer
Sometimes they
work.
write you a letter
Or
later.
if you have blow in a hotel room, other things can happen.
Yeah. I'm a super jealous person. It's like not, I've always said that I also cannot date anyone who's bisexual because I already am worried about every other woman. I cannot also be worried about other men. So like, that's just on me. But at the sex club, let me tell you something. You're on a short fucking leash. Short.
But they want you to be on a leash. A lot of other people are literally on leashes there.
Yeah.
And
anyways,
you know what?
I
I
digress.
think what you should do, I think you don't need to be at a sex club because that's not your bag. What you should do is go to those kind of like not raver balls, but the sex balls where people kind of dress up. It's like Halloween, but for adults that aren't scared to admit that they want to dress like that during the middle of the year. Like those kind of balls where like they'll be kind of like an exhibition where like there's a guy in the shower or women on swings, but it's more like a gala.
Oh, okay.
But it's
a little bit
people.
more classed up.
Yeah, it's
not
classed
just,
up.
I mean, this was dingy, like we getting fucked. There was no frills. Like,
That was actually the subject line of the email.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, so you can't complain.
there was like rubber sheets on the mattresses and they were just lined up like, it was just pretty much wall-to-wall mattresses. I mean, there was not
awful.
a decor. There was no confetti or streamers or balloons. There was a bad buffet of Costco and then some showers and mattresses. It was a sight. And obviously you're naked, but you have to, they check, you cannot have a phone inside.
That
which
tracks.
is, thankfully, they do try and protect your anonymity.
Now, where did you find this place?
We did quite a bit of Googling back in the day to find this. And fun fact, once you subscribe to this email list, you can never get off. So my ex, who I still speak to from time to time, is like, every week I know what's going on at Club. There's no unsubscribe button. None.
See, no, you know what there is, but you guys don't get one because their thing is like, hey, if you guys aren't getting us off, you're not getting off either. You guys went there as voyeurs instead of participants.
Yeah.
So you're going to look and see all the stuff that you could have been doing until you come back and make it right. Mm-hmm. So guys, I need you guys, we're going to pool some money. We're going to get Corinne a flight and we're going to send you to the amputee sex club. And whatever happens, we expect full details. Yes.
I will say that I have always been very pro like nudity. Like when I was in high school, I went to my first ever nudist colony. Yeah, fun story. I just like heard it exist, and I actually framed the rules. It was very, I mean, middle of Florida, all trailer park.
That's
I
where
went
they
with,
all are.
Yeah. And it's again, it's so hot in Florida, so like better to do that than like the furry route.
Yeah, I'd agree. And I was talking to my boy yesterday, my boy John Vargas, shout out, and we were talking about cuckolding for some reason. And he was like, do you think a lot of people actually do that? And I told him the first road gig I ever did as I was still a middle school teacher at this time.
I thought you said I was still in middle school.
Well, you basically at high school, But for me, I didn't even really, especially at that time, I didn't even know what cuckolding was. I definitely didn't know what it was. And after the show, I just done my first performance in a real comedy club, got a real comedy club check. And this woman came up to me. She was like, great show, attractive blonde woman, probably in her mid-40s. And she shook my hand and just held on to it. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's what's up. She's pretty. Like, hey, this is a perk of comedy, I guess. And like this dude walks up 15 seconds later, and she's like, oh, here's my husband. And like, she's still holding my hand. And I'm like, I tried to do the like hand drop, but she's still holding it the way like a baby would hold your fingers, like where,
right?
where your hand, clinging to my
Uh-huh.
hand. And so I'm like trying to be like, hey, big man. Hey, bro, I'm good. Hey.
Is she signaling that she's being trafficked?
No.
Like,
Yeah, I'm like, what is happening here? And he's just making hey, great show. We really enjoyed it, bro. Blah, blah, blah. He was like, I did it with my other homeboy who will remain nameless. He was headlining, and he was like, you guys should come back to our place. Again, Florida, where I started my career. We were on the west coast of Florida, one of them small towns like St. Pete Beach or somewhere like that. And we go up to this couple's condo. And again, I am super green at this point. Like I'm a comic and a guy that just chased women. Like I didn't know about this whole other world. So we get to their place, and they had great booze, a great view. They had a nice condo overlooking the beach, and I'm chilling, making small talk. And my boy's talking to this guy's wife, and all of a sudden they just get up and go into the bedroom. And I'm just like, you have to understand, like now everybody's like, yeah, cuckolding. Like for me, I'm like, what are you doing, dog? Like her husband's here.
By the way, you would have to explicitly be like, I'm into, or else I would assume he's going to kick my ass.
Yes. And I'm just like looking at he was like a pretty big, he's one of those Florida guys that works out too much. And so I was already like sizing him up like, oh, when he loses his mind, like, I'll go for the legs, like I'm trying to, like my mind is like, I'm drunk, and so he and I just keep talking. And they're just in the room for like 10 minutes-ish. And then he's like, excuse me. And then he goes in the room. So now I'm just in there on their couch.
It ain't no fun if your homies can't have none, right?
Yeah.
Like you gotta, cuckolding to me, I assume you want to be able to watch, have some control over the situation.
Yeah. That's what he was into too. Because I can say this. My boy said he sat in this chair in the corner while they did their thing. Every 10 minutes or so, he would get up without any words exchange, kind of move my friend out of the way, do his thing really hard for like, my boy said like 30 seconds, and then just stop and then go back to the chair. And he was like, am I supposed, because there's no like discussion.
Tap in, tap out, yeah.
Yeah, but like they hadn't discussed the roles or anything. But I think it's a thing. I think it's just like the internet showed us that a lot of people are into this.
You know how there's a Kinsey scale? I am a 0 with women, like 0. There's no point at which I want to touch a woman.
Yes.
It's just, I don't know. It's just the way I am.
It's a thing, and everybody says, oh, women like women.
No,
and
not this one.
It's true that a lot of women do, but my ex-wife, this is what I do. I don't mind saying. I remember her always telling me like nothing. Like she is and she's attractive, so obviously she has female friends that are like, we've been best friends. How about if we kiss? And nah, that's just some people. It's not their bag.
It's just not mine.
Yeah.
No.
And if sexuality is a spectrum, somebody's got to be a 0, somebody's got to be a 10. And I think I could definitely. That's why I love doing this podcast with you, because I know that you're like me. You never lie. It's just an easier way to live life. Like I never lie. And like when you say that it's nothing for you, I definitely can feel that. I could definitely see that.
And there's people out there that will say, well, have you tried it? I will tell you that once in So I worked at a nightclub when I was trying to become a stand-up comic at the age of 21, and
Some
not
would say that you did become a stand-up comic.
yeah. I was doing a lot more hollering, as my father would say, than I was actually working towards any kind of acting or comedy career. But I worked at this club, and I had very, very high rollers in there. And when I came in fact, every time I came in, I had pre-booked tables, and they'd be like, okay, you have Mick Jagger, Bruce Willis. I mean, I always had superstars in there. And this particular night, I had a table that had a couple of playmates at it. And the guy, he was like some Russian oligarch. And he was like, I kept bringing, and to be clear, I've never served a drink in my life. I'm very proud of that. It's bottle service only. Mm-hmm. And I set the ambiance. Like, I'm very fun. I was often heavily requested. I had like the best gigs in the city for bottle sales. Anyways, so this particular Russian guy was like, he was with some playmates, and he's like, you like any of the ladies? I'll share one of the ladies with you. I was like, I don't go that way. It doesn't happen. And I keep, I'm back and forth with the bottles. And he's like, I think that you just haven't tried it before. So I'll give you $100 if you make out with this girl. And I was like, $100 is $100, which is how a lot of things start, I think.
Right. That's how a lot of careers start.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, what will you do for $1,000?
Right. And at the time, I was broke, and he had a $100 bill, and I made out with this chick for like 3 seconds. And he's like, well, and I said, I didn't feel anything. And then I took the $100 and went back to my bottle station.
And that was it?
That was it.
Okay. You know what, Corinne, I was going to admit something to you right there. We're friends. Super platonic, but that was like, I was starting to get a little hot.
Yeah?
I thought that was going somewhere, and then it just ended.
I mean, I did the thing that you're like, I don't know why. This story is for another time, but this girl that I worshipped, put a pin in this because I will tell the full story at another point in time, probably ruining it. But this is my absolute top 3 facts to ever know about me, and it's like the coolest. I know I'm really hyping this up in the wrong direction, but okay, when I was a little kid, when I was in 6th grade, I went to sleepaway camp, and this girl I went to camp with, I just like idolized her. She was beautiful, and she had a lot more experience. So she taught me how to make out, not on her, but she was like, you grab the back of their neck and like pull them in and like get right on the hairline. Like, she taught me.
Who's showing you this Biff from Back to the Future?
So I did it with the girl that I made out. But the reason I'm telling you that story is, so I don't think it matters if I say her name. I worshipped her. Her name was Danielle Sachs. She was the most beautiful when we were younger. I thought she was, and that's all I care about. It's are you very, very attractive? You are now my role model.
Yes.
So I just thought she was so pretty, and we were in sleepaway camp together. We were bunkmates, and I was really close to her. And then we go into 7th grade, and she starts taking a hard right. Like, she gets she gets a butterfly tattoo in her middle back, like way young, before you should be doing that. And she starts dancing, which is weird. Like, we went to like a ritzy Jewish sleepaway camp. Like, really 0 people ever go down this path.
Right.
So we kind of lose touch because I go to a different high school. I see her at like Club Amnesia, which used to be a club where they had like half-naked dancers and foam parties.
Club Amnesia.
Yeah, in Miami. I see her there. I'm like, Danielle, how are you? All right, yada, yada. Her and her boyfriend murdered someone, and she's now in prison in Florida. She got life, not death row, but I think the boyfriend got death row. They suffocated an old man that they met at an IHOP. IHOP or Denny's. Usually I'll call up the story to get this right.
I don't think that's the important part of the story.
So they told him they had nowhere to stay, and this guy was like, I'll take you guys in, you can stay with me. And then they suffocated him with a plastic grocery bag and fled the scene, and they did not get very far. She was on the lam for about a week, then they caught her, and now she's on like prisonbabes.com, and you can.
By the way, I'm obsessed.
And she still looks pretty, honestly. Shout out to Danielle Sachs, who taught me how to make out. Anyways, I used those tactics on this chick because I was like, I'm gonna make this look good for the $100. Right. So I like crept my my hands. I raked the back of her hair, pulled her in close, and then I was like, I didn't feel anything. Bye.
And that was it.
That was it. Yeah.
That's only you would have that story. Mm. Only you. And it weirdly leads me into a thought I had this week, and I was like, it's weird. On my notes, I have BDSM, and I was like, how am I going to work this into the pod? And here we are, some 20, 30 minutes in. How many minutes? Yeah, and here it is.
Okay,
this is my theory, and I want to hit you and the listeners with this. And it's weird because a black man is about to defend America, and I'll explain. Here, this is my thought this week. Okay, you know how like people always go, oh, America, we sex shame, and like, how come men can have their shirts off in pictures and women can't? And in France, it's all good, and they have, I've been overseas, and you turn on TV in the middle of the day, and there's boobs, and like they're very
titties everywhere.
Everywhere. It's like not a thing. But then I was thinking, if you think about what America does, in a weird way, the way that we hide our sexuality is almost a version of BDSM in that you don't acknowledge it's there, but everybody knows it's there. When you hire a model to bite into your cheeseburger on your commercial and she looks and her lips are full and greasy, we know what that is, but we just don't say it. And that is the kink. We don't come out and say, hey, boobs everywhere, sex, sex, sex. We act like it's not there.
Yeah, I think that's hotter.
I think it's kind of weirdly hotter.
Yeah.
And it's like this thing where we're like, oh, we don't, that's not above board. That's against our moral standards. But everything in our culture is highly, highly sexual, but we never address it. And I think it's kind of this like, it's like if we're in a relationship with this country, it's this kind of like, it'd be like if a husband and wife have this square relationship and they never talk about it. But once a year, they go to Club Joy. But instead of playing pool, they use those sticks for something else. And it's hot. And then on the car ride home, they don't talk about it. And they don't talk about it all year. But there's just, I think
And then they
there's
open the
something hot
bedroom to
about
their
it.
children's and make sure they're still sound asleep after they pay the nanny.
And they go back to voting conservative. And they're like, what are you talking about, dog?
I've always thought like things like Hooters are super lame. Like either be a strip club or don't. But I really don't like that middle because there's a whole bunch of those now. Why can't I think of the name of the other?
There's
what's the other one?
Twin Peaks.
That I didn't know what that was, and I was on the road and there was literally nothing else, and so I went into Twin Peaks and I was like, oh, this is just like a fucking stupid fake titty bar, like Hooters.
It's a junior strip club.
It's so dumb.
But it's dumb. But you know what? It's because not everybody's wired like you, homegirl. Not everybody can go look at their homeboy, have sex with a rando, and then just talk about the weather on the way home. Some people are very interested in that, but they are not wired to live that kind of like, we're going to the strip club, or even know somebody where they would feel comfortable asking them that. So Hooters, Roadhouse, Tilted Kilt, Twin Peaks,
right. There's a whole bunch of these.
There's a lot of women that like to look at women.
There's no way Roadhouse is one of these. Roadhouse has like 60-year-old women working there.
But Roadhouse is the Hooters of small cities.
Perhaps.
It's like where Hooters would be in downtown Atlanta, Roadhouse would be in like Columbus, Georgia. It's a different place, but I think there's women that know that they're married to Earl. Earl likes to look at the young girls, right? You don't want Earl going to the strip club because he's going to blow all your money and you're on a tight budget. What Earl can do is 2 or 3 times a week for lunch, he can go and pretend like the bartender at Hooters that gives him his cheeseburger and fries and leans over so he can get a look is his girlfriend. And that gets Earl through, and that gets them through 45 years of a trudgingly terrible relationship. But that's what it is. It's a coercive relationship between young women that are attractive and old men that know that those women would never give them the time of day. And it's all done over the course of chicken wings. And it goes back to my point. There's this undercurrent of like sexuality, but really, game's on. Hey, we're kicking it. It's Hooters. You want some fries? Nobody cares about the fries. No one gives a shit about the game. But we act like that's what it's about. Hooters is the definition of the BDSM thing. It's just like America, we're too uptight to ever just be like, hey, I went to the strip club for lunch. People be like, are you crazy? But if you were like, I went to Hooters, the people would say, what'd you get? That's the difference.
I used to live walking distance from a Hooters in LA. And so I would every now and then, like, I don't eat bar food, but I would go there to meet people for drinks. And anytime I was going to the Hooters, I did the same cunty thing I do at strip clubs. I was like, pick my shortest shorts, my lowest cut. Like, this is a competition. I have so many times by the way, I'm a terrible dancer, but you're not allowed to dance if you're a female in the strip club. That's a hard rule. So, like, I would sort of be feeling it a little bit, and I'd be with, like, one of my, like, basketball player friends or whatever, and I'd get to moving, and manager will come over, sit your ass down.
Wow.
Yeah, you can't compete with the strippers.
Isn't
Not that I
crazy?
could, but I always dressed scantily clad in any of these situations.
Who knew that a strip club turns into the town from Footloose?
Yes.
No dancing.
Yeah.
Like, unless it's our girl, it's like do whatever you want, but it's really do what we say you can do.
Yeah,
That's
well,
the
they
difference.
don't really want females like in there. That's not their key demo. We ain't spending the money.
That makes a lot of
So,
sense. Yeah, you're not, I
yeah.
mean, and I will say this. I think a lot of guys will get. I'm going to share a story.
Okay.
I took this girl who I was off and on in love with for years. I did I was pre-med before this, and I met her at a medical program over the summer. She lived in Puerto Rico. I thought about her for years, even after this. You know me, I have been, I've been down a lot of roads. And I really liked this girl. And she finally, I think, warmed up to me. She came to visit me in Miami, and we went to a strip club. What's the one in Fort Lauderdale? Matter of fact,
Tootsies or Pink
know-
Pussycat
do you
or
know exactly why-
Goldfingers, Goldfellas. I could keep going.
first of all,
Been to them all.
I love you. I love you. Do you know why I know the name? Because I just looked at my monitor. Scarlett's.
Oh, Scarlett's. Yeah.
Scarlett's. And that's the name of the audio filter we're using. I'm
Yes.
like, what's the name? And I looked, and it was right there. That was super weird. I took her to Scarlett's daytime, as you do. I was a daytime strip club guy. And it was like super slow. They pulled her, one of the dancers, she was so pretty. One of the dancers pulled her on stage, and they had like this really kind of beautifully erotic exchange. It wasn't even sexual. You could tell the girl really liked her, and the girl that I was with really liked the dancer. And like on the way home back to my crib, she started crying because she was saying like what an emotional ride it was. And she was ready to go when I got home. And like this girl that I had, Corinne, like been obsessed with for years. She was so beautiful. And we get to the crib, and the home team did not show up. I had never had that happen before. This is young, like worked out at like never. It was. I used to be like, who does that happen to? You can't perform. And I think I liked her. I had built it up so much in my mind. And it was like really traumatizing because I think she really liked me. And like she was in my bathroom crying.
Oh,
it was like, and then that made it, because the tears never help that.
No.
Yeah,
That's not lubricant.
that is, tears are mace for an erection. And it was like something I messaged her for like, not years, but after like, hey, she come visit, and like, delayed responses. And it like, I hate to have like a bad ending, but it was like such a weird thing. It did show me in a weird way that like I was capable of emotion, because for a while I was just engaging with people, just like almost like a bartender would, like, hey, yeah, she's fun tonight. And the one girl I really liked, my body could not handle it. Ooh. Like it shut down. I haven't thought about that in years.
That would scare the shit out of me permanently.
Ago,
I'm so glad I'm not a dude, because like just that would just be in my head, having to perform. I mean, as a girl, you don't.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
It was in my head after that, because up until that, it was never a thing. And the first girl that I really, really liked, my body was like, hey, and that's going to do it for me, bro. And it's like,
oh, wow.
Because the first time.
Why have you forsaken me?
I know. It's like the one time I need you. Like, I was about to be like, okay, you about to see what 4 years of me thinking about you since that program. Mm-hmm. And apparently it wasn't much. So sorry.
Well, I have one other strip club story before we move on from this, because this is the other thing that is a rule. Okay, so I don't know if you know this. You probably do. You can't, under any circumstances, take a stripper. If you leave, at least this was the rule at Scores in New York City. If you leave during your shift, you don't get to come back. Mm-hmm. End of story. So you could have, the wealthiest guy in the world. That's like, I'm firing up the jet. Let's go. If you still have 2 hours left on your shift and you leave, you have no option to ever come back. So we had this running joke with me and all of my guy friends that like, you're the big winner if you can get a stripper to leave with you. And so we would always go to Scores, because every other club in New York City closes. Scores still serves. They're open later. So we ended many, many nights at Scores, and it's like a great ambiance. And so I was in there many times trying to kick it, like everybody was trying, because you're the big winner. Well, I won the whole fucking contest. It took probably 6 months. I got lucky. I was talking to this girl. Her name was Sophia. And I was like,
as far as you know,
I'm like, and she was a cute little Russian chick. And I'm a 0 on the Kinsey scale. So I'm doing everything I can to make her feel special, but I feel nothing. It's just a game to me. Mm. And all of a sudden I was like, so listen, like, I'd love to keep talking to you, but I got to get out of here. And she's like, I'll come with you. And I was like, oh my God, you guys, like, 3 cherries, jackpot. And I was like, I cannot believe this. So I was freaking out. I mean, I was trying to be cool because I didn't want to freak her out. But as soon as we crossed the threshold of scores, I mean, that they're like, hope you have your bag, Sophia. Like, you're not coming back. And she's like, it's fine. Well, then I get back to my apartment and I'm like, I have a pull-out couch. And she's like, what is going on here? Like, she was actually genuinely into me. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I freaked out. I ended up having to call like every manager I knew at every nightclub to get her another job, not as a stripper, but like as a bottle waitress, because I destroyed her scores career. And she was texting and calling me for like months. Like, are you like, I really miss you. And I'm like, what did I do? Why did I do this? This was a terrible idea. Yeah. And I ended up getting her employed. She actually, look, everyone, she was doing much better as a bottle waitress, like a much more consistent, I mean, I don't know what she was making as a stripper, but I got her a very good bottle waitressing job. And then I was like, and I shall never go to that club again. And I don't ever want to see you again.
I honestly feel like
Sophia.
You missed your calling. I
would have been a good pimp.
I was thinking more like, you're like undercover boss where you go in and you scout like employees that could be doing better. And you're like, hey, let me level you up. I'm going to be your bagger Vance.
I mean, I had been to scores with like half the NHL team, half the Rangers, like all the Giants. Like I had been there with so many amazing men that anybody, if you were going to throw it all away. And then I won.
You won. And you know what? It does show you, fellas, for all the, you're like, I'm killing the game. I got 8 figures in the bank. I got 2 Lambos, one for the weekend, one for the daytime. I got a dope crib. I don't know why this one, because she didn't want you, dog. Mm-hmm. She wanted Corinne. Mm-hmm. All those players, all those athletes, all those rich oil tycoons flying in, Saudi Arabian princes, and Corinne. Corinne Sanity rolls in there.
I think perhaps there was an allure to like, I would always show up with like a bunch of dudes, but I was the only girl. And like, if let's assume that she's probably much more into women than men. And I sort of look like I ran shit, right? I would buy, I would take whoever's credit card. It wasn't my credit card. I'd be the person paying the check at the end of the night. Like I kind of looked, I don't know, like a baller. I don't really know why she chose me, but I got the big prize at the end.
Well,
can we go back to the original story I was starting? I had some airport travel.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I know, we're going to circle back.
I don't know how we transition to travel, but here we are.
I have a question for you, but I also have a scenario that I wanted to tell you that happened. Okay.
Talk to me.
So yesterday, I was leaving. It's like an hour and a half. You have to take a car service from Tahoe to Reno. I was flying out of Reno because my guy friends that I was there with were going on a 9 a.m. flight, and my flight was at 11 a.m., and it was too much of a pain in the ass to get multiple car services. We had 3 feet of snow. I was like, I'll just go early with you. So I get to the airport at 7:45 a.m., knowing, though, that my flight isn't until 11. Fine. Well, my flight gets delayed.
No.
And they tell me it's a fuel leakage problem, which didn't want to know that. And also, they're like, it'll probably be 15 minutes. I'm like, the hell it will.
No.
So they immediately bump it to 3 p.m., and I'm like, fuck. Like, it's a shit scenario. So I am standing in queue trying to see if I can, like, obviously I'm on the app. I'm trying to do all the things, but I happen to be very close to the front desk when that happened, and there was only 2 people, like, attending the desk, and one person was talking each person to one person. All right. So I was very close to the front. Okay, I'm telling you this for a reason. So this guy who is, something's not right with him, like, socially speaking, in a way that, like, he was talking way louder than he should, like, for the conversation he was having. He's like, well, I could potentially stay in Reno another night or 2 if you guys are paying for the hotel. I'm like, wait, what is happening here? He's extending his vacation? Like, right. It was a weird, we're all trying to get out. It's weird to be like, if you'll put me up, I'll hang out here for a week, So anyways, I don't know. I'm hearing him because he's speaking quite loudly. And the woman that is closest to me, he just won't stop. There's a line of 100 people that need to talk to this desk agent because almost everyone but me that's going through Denver is actually doing that on a connecting flight. They're all going to miss their connections. And this woman just keeps hearing him go on and on. He's like, and I've been to Reno a few times, but I could spend more time here. And just unnecessary dialogue.
Right.
And this woman just pops off. And she's like, she's probably mid-50s, white woman. And this guy is maybe 25. I don't know. It's not really relevant, but they're both.
No, because I was picturing an older guy.
Yeah. No. Like between 20 and 25. Young.
Normal looking young guy.
I don't know how normal looking, but yeah. I mean,
He
he was
was a
like,
guy.
he looked like a loser, like a real dork. Like he was the guy that would spend more time in Reno.
Right.
He didn't go to Tahoe. So anyways, he just won't stop making conversation. And this woman who has her own gate agent and is shuffling around her own flights just can't listen to this anymore. And she's like, you know what? Fucking everybody in this line is waiting. Like, wrap it up. Nope, wrap it up. Pick a flight and keep it the fuck moving. And she screams at him. Mind you, there's a lot of people on the line that feel the same way because everyone, I don't know why he was talking so loudly, but everyone could hear him. Well, this guy goes, I don't know what you're upset about. And her husband, like, chirps up from, like, she was handling the reticketing. And he goes, watch how you speak to my wife. And the guy goes, are you threatening me? Are you threatening me? I need security. And now it starts escalating. And I'm like, I'm standing there.
Wait, how big is this woman's husband?
He's also 60 and not big. Okay? This is a ridiculous scenario. None of these people have ever been in a fight before. And by the way, he wasn't trying to fight him. He was just like, watch how the fuck you talk to my wife. Like,
right.
Hey,
bro.
And she's also right. And everyone in line thinks she's right. So he goes, I demand security. And so the gate agent is like, I don't know that this really warrants security. And he's like, I don't feel safe. Oh. And so then the greatest thing of all time happens, Al. Everybody that's standing in the line just starts chirping. Somebody's like, you fucking pussy. And then someone else is like, you don't need security. So people start mouthing off to this guy because they're, I think, because I was like, this is very exciting. So I joined the pile-on. I was like,
what did you yell?
I don't remember exactly, but it was something I didn't say pussy because I was way too close to the gate agents and I was like, I don't want to get clipped for this. Like, right. I'm trying to get out of this airport. But I was like, yeah, this isn't right. Like, I just, that, like.
You're yelling like B-roll lines.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. This is ridiculous.
Right. And I'm ventriloquist dummying it like it's not coming from my mouth. So I was like, I was the most American I've felt in a very long time. Everyone piles on. Well, the guy insists. He says, I don't feel safe walking around the airport. I have to have security. So he sat there and waited. And then he got like private security till his flight took off from a guy that was no threat to anyone. And how about the wife goes, she goes, no one is threatening you. And he goes, I demand security. And she goes, you know what? Call fucking security. Call him. Like she was really.
She was done.
Mm-hmm.
There's a point where somebody's done. They're like, yeah, let's go now.
Yeah, it was spectacular because I feel like I'm super in real life. Like I pop off a lot. It's not a great thing, but I don't do anything in the airport. Like the TSA agent who insists on completely, like I pack like, like a Girl Scout, like everything is perfectly in order. And like the person who goes through my carry-on luggage and opens every chapstick and just, like destroys my luggage. I'm just, don't say anything because you don't want to get clipped at an airport. This was absolute chaos. It was beautiful.
It's first of all, that's how I know you're a traveling gang. You and I have traveled extensively, and you don't want to get clipped at the airport. I was at the old not the old Philadelphia airport, but I was on a flight, and there was the flight had gotten, it was a connection. I was going from like New York to Phoenix or somewhere, and it was a quick flight to Philly and then the long flight to Phoenix. We get to Phoenix, flights canceled or whatever, and there was a German dude ahead of me. This is, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. German dude ahead of me, and he was like dealing with a black woman from Philly that was just giving him the information that she had. Sir, the flight has been canceled. I do not know why. We'll rebook you at this time. You can go on the 11 o'clock tonight. And he was just like, I'm supposed to be in Germany or whatever. And you know those plastic placards that are on the desk agent, like says, ask us about getting a deal to Hawaii or whatever. He pounded on the table and then smacked placard, plastic thing, smacked it off.
Detained.
And sweet honey child, there was security there, and I'd say maybe 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Took this dude away, and now mind you, it's a Friday. Took this dude away. I'm up next. So I'm trying to like lock eyes with her, like, hey, me and you are one,
no problem.
Soul sister, okay?
Yeah, of course.
And I'm like, I'm like, yo, that's crazy. You cool? She's like, I'm fine. He's gonna go to jail, and he's not gonna be out until Monday.
Oh.
And she was like, and guess what, bruh? He's going to Philly jail.
Oh.
He was going to downtown Philly jail
That's
as a
bad.
German tourist because he popped off. And it's just like, I don't know how his weekend was, but I'm sure he didn't know anybody that could probably bail him out.
No.
And he had to go to court. Like, it was, I mean, they put real cuffs on him and took him out of the double doors to a squad. Like, he left. They didn't take him to
I'm gonna have
airport jail.
nightmares. I can't. This is why
Yes.
I am a perfect angel inside airports. I am so scared of that happening. Mind you, this guy probably has like only WhatsApp on his phone and like the one phone call he can make. He doesn't know the country code and the, like he doesn't have anyone's number.
He
You
hits
can't
his
make a
one
long
American
distance call.
friend up like, I'm in jail. And they're like, I'm in South America.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the...
Well,
it kind of leads me to a weird travel story I had this weekend. Were you done?
I just had one more question for you, but you
please,
can go into
no,
your
I want
story.
to hear your question.
I again, we might have to cut this out, but I just want to get your opinion on this because I really didn't know what to do. And I have
We cut
traveled.
nothing out.
I have traveled extensively and I am very into etiquette. Like I will say something if you're FaceTiming.
Ooh,
like,
I like this
that's
already.
so. But I want to say that I know the do's and don'ts, and I would say I hold myself accountable. I don't do anything. I do not take my shoes off on the plane. I don't do anything wrong.
I love
Okay. So I board the flight finally, 4:25 p.m. I actually get out of Reno. And I see...
Since 7:45 a.m.
I started at 7:45 a.m. I left at 4:25 p.m.
Gangsta.
It was horrible. I know the Reno airport entirely too well, and it's not a place you want to spend that much time in. So on the flight, in walks a little person.
Okay.
Little person is I'm going to say probably, well, he's a Hispanic dude, and he's covered in tattoos.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Well, he has to put his bag overhead in the compartment across from where I'm sitting. And I can see that that's not possible.
Right. You're just looking at physics and...
Right. And I'm like, do you help or do you wait for him to ask for help? Because I don't want to
that's a good
imply he
question.
can't do it. And I'm watching him toss a duffel bag and miss multiple times, and I don't know when to step in.
After you're done recording.
And so I'm watching him do this, and I'm like, is he going to parkour up the seat? Like, he's not. He's making it clear that he's going to keep trying to do this. And I thought, like, generally speaking, if there's an old lady like, I'm always out of my seat. Like, can I help you with that? But I just felt like that was going to emasculate this dude. Well, finally, a stewardess helped him. But I wondered what would you do in that scenario?
First of all, we're going to get emails. They're flight attendants now. I know this because I still use the word secretary, and they're like, it's a receptionist.
How about this? I'm still using stewardess. Fuck everyone.
And aren't
That's
you a
what you are.
steward of the plane?
Yeah.
Anyway, I think in that situation you get up and you just go, hey, because like if that was as I'm a dude, I would be like, hey, bro, I got you. I don't know what the female equivalent to that phrase would be, because like you just act like it's not a thing, because there are situations where like I've run into cats that like don't have a hand or something. You know, like people have accidents. One of my best friends in the world, my boy Colin.
Well, if they don't have a hand, I got a club for them to go to fuck.
Yeah, you'd be like, I got somewhere where you're going to be a star, sir.
Yeah, they're really looking for
Yes.
the getting nubbed.
Yes,
Yeah.
Joy with a Y.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so like I think right then I think you step in because I'm thinking about my homeboy Brad Williams, incredible comic.
I was just gonna ask if you knew Brad.
Yeah, Brad is
He's
the
also
homie.
very handsome.
Yeah, and you know what Brad does? Brad's got swag, and that's why Brad's been pulling
Yes,
women
he's fine.
forever. I have homeboys that have been overweight forever and pull like hot chicks. We're like, me and my homeboys like, how does he keep doing this? Swag means something.
Mm-hmm.
Larry, you were excited to meet Larry Flint. He'd been in a wheelchair for
Yes.
40 years.
Oh, he's mashed potatoes.
Right, yeah.
God.
Sorry for over your head with that medical terminology. But it's who he is, and it's the presence that you command. And honestly, if he had been like, I guarantee you, if you did that, if he's a cat that's covered in tattoos, he's already like, not only am I a little person and a Mexican cat, I'm gonna cover myself in tattoos. I want you to look at me. I want you to see this. I want you to see how beautiful I am. If you had helped him, he probably would have had a line like, that works every time or something like that.
Yeah, maybe.
And now you're like, even if obviously you're not going to go for it, but like someone will be like, look at you talking. Next thing you know, they're like, I'm on my 4th date with this
I don't
thing.
even date under 6 feet, so this is
Yes.
is really barking up the wrong tree here. But I was very panicked. Like, what do I do? How much longer do I watch him try and do this for? Yeah.
Politeness. Sometimes you're doing the right thing, but after the second toss, you got to step it out. You got to say you can't let this. You can't let this happen because like if somebody,
rough, man.
Yeah, because somebody will probably be filming you like this is what's wrong with this
Right,
country.
right,
This woman's
exactly.
scrolling on her iPad, man struggling.
I was trying not to look, but like I couldn't not look because I was really pulling for him to get it.
I mean, yeah, and so what happened at the end?
The stewardess stepped in because after he missed a few times, it made a noise, like the bag came crashing back down.
Yeah.
And so she was like, oh, let me help you with that. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
I guess
and then
that's
she
what
just
we
gives
do.
you a look. She's like, yeah, you just put this bag up here. And then she's just making eye contact
Yeah,
with
like,
you.
what, are your arms broken? You couldn't help this guy?
Somebody else could have helped him. I mean, who knows? Or maybe
Speaking
our
of
society's
help.
falling apart. And before we get to help,
I cut you off. And I'm sorry for everyone that tells me I step all over Al's
You
lines.
don't stop. No. This is how people talk. Like,
Yeah.
we're not robots that are like, now you go.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk over each other sometimes. Because we both have a lot to say because we're both semi-crazy. And we have a lot of stuff going on. And, I've translated my crazy into just like what I think most adults do, which is just bottling your anger and pushing it down. And that's kind of what's happening with me at hotels. Everybody knows that I have an issue with the lack of cleanliness. This has been going on post-COVID. And this has been my long-term issue with all of this stuff, Coco. And it's this. I don't want to have a personal relationship with any corporation. That's why I always started getting nervous when you see these commercials like, hey, come on into Bank of America. We're your friend. You check in
Your family.
and your family here. Stop that.
Yeah.
Stop using those words. First of all, don't use the words home cooking or family or friends. We're none of those things. When people start using those words, I know you're about to try and get something from me or tell me you're not about to give me something you're supposed to.
Yes.
And that's what's happening because now when I post-COVID, I get initially that, they didn't have the housekeeping there because they didn't want them to get sick. But that's in our rearview mirror for the most part now. But now these hotels are still super understaffed because I'm sure they looked at their bottom line like, look how well we did without housekeepers. What do you think? They're going to bring them back now? They're not going to do that. And now there's very few housekeepers to the point where I am in a suite at the Hyatt with my boys, my 2 sons. Shout out. I love them to death. And, I check in. And even not when you check in immediately, they're like, she goes, one of our housekeepers called out. So if you could just put your trash outside, you know how it is.
Oh, you know what? You can take $100 off my hotel stay because that's what I pay for.
Thank you.
How that?
Thank you. Stop talking to me like we're friends.
Yeah.
So what are we going to do about this? Not just put my trash outside. What am I, an eccentric billionaire that doesn't want to see people? Here are my fingernail clippings and all my haircuts. Like, no. Here's what you need to do. You need to hire more staff. Or take that off my bill.
Or get scabs, the people that come in when the real people aren't there. Like, I don't care. I don't need to know how the sausage is made. But I'm going to bust my own trash and then you're going to give me more bags and then I'm going to replace. What am I, at home?
Right.
Absolutely not.
You walk into like other people's dramas, like you walk in, hey, welcome to the Holiday Inn. Tina's husband fell off the wagon last night. It's like, I don't care. Like,
Not my problem.
Not my problem. But other people do have problems, Corinne.
Yes, and there's a problem. Why can't I do that? Fucking Vanilla Ice. If there's a problem, I'll solve it. Oh my God.
Yeah, and then
Got it.
what was the rest of it? Something.
Just like
on
a
the
DJ Revolve It.
Yeah, Ice Baby.
It's so sad because that's like so my culture, right? Like he's A1A, Beachfront Avenue. I grew up there.
I never even put that together.
Yes!
A1A. I lived on
Yes.
A1A for years. You just broke down a 40-year-old rap lyric for me. It's like you unthought it. It's like,
I only understand the white ones.
Hey,
the one shitty white rapper. Oh yeah, I understood what he was referencing in my bougie hometown. Yeah,
that's hilarious. I love it. Hey, shout out Vanilla Ice, who carved out, dare I say, a nice little secondary career. Because he could have been a one-hit wonder, whatever happened to that guy, but he stayed on tour. I think he acknowledged early, like, I'm not a serious rapper. So, like, I'm not going to try and rap. He's like, I don't care if you make fun of me. I'll show up to your parody videos. I'll do some weird stuff. He's like
Celebrity Big Brother, whatever.
Yeah, he's like a goofy dude.
Care.
And he stayed in the public. And now people, I'm sure, can you imagine when he gets paid for a bat mitzvah or something like that? Or like whatever, a corporate party?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I just recently found out because Madonna was trending for some reason. I can't, like, it's really hard for me to, like, watch what's going down with her. Did you know he dated Madonna?
Oh, yeah.
That alone should solidify you. It's like Danny, the pool boy that dated Cher. We still know who he is. It's once you date an icon, you're permanent. And I feel like I might be wrong, but I know his real name is like Robert Van Winkle or something.
Is.
It's real.
It sounds ridiculous.
Yes,
it sounds like something you would check into a hotel under.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's yeah, and you know, I know it's hard to watch what's going on with Madonna, but you just keep bringing up stuff, Corinne. Today on our show, you know, we were talking about Leo DiCaprio, which he was alleged to be dating a 19-year-old.
Yes, but hold on. Now I am going to interrupt you because you just said today on our show as though you and he has a show that's a syndicated talk show called Daily Blast Live, which he never hypes, that he goes into work every day, 5 days a week. So they do current events.
Yes,
go ahead.
I'm like Severance. I never, I'm a weird guy. Well, we need to have a whole podcast because I probably need to do one of these advice columns, but like for myself because I have some weird stuff going on. But it's good. It's just I'm crazy. I just know how to handle it. But yeah, so we today on my show, Daily Blast Live, watch every day. It's awesome. You see me and my co-host chopping it up. But one of the topics was Leo DiCaprio was alleged to have been dating a 19-year-old. He's 45. Then his team came out and said he's not dating that 19-year-old. He's dating this 20-year-old. And
splitting hairs here.
Yeah, exactly. And so everybody's like, you know, that's gross. How could he? And I was like, first of all, Madonna, Cher, shall we continue? But you know, and I know that you can't equate the two. There's a power dynamic there. But I think when you have that much money as a disparity, the gender goes away. Whether it is Madonna dating, I think he's 40 or something, and she's 70 or something like that. I don't know, Cher, whatever. There's like a huge age gap. But how can you be so women deserve their agency, which I agree, and women run the world, okay, and they're going to take over things, and you got this. But then I'm going to tell you who you can date. Why can't she? Like some people said it's predatory, but she knows what she's getting into. Or am I wrong about that?
No, no, she can do whatever she wants. And like honestly, no one's saying no to Leonardo DiCaprio. I think the only problem I have with Leo, which by the way, I met him multiple times in my life, and I think he's wonderful. But the problem I have actually is just that he refuses to date anyone. Like he's really skimming pedophile land now. Like he will not. I mean, everyone makes that joke that like he doesn't date anyone over 25, but it's like a reality, and he keeps getting lower in age, and it's just getting real close to like some uncomfortable. Like it's more that to me than like any. I don't care about the age difference. It's that he literally only will date in that pool. I think you should, you know, he's Leonardo DiCaprio. He can do whatever he'd like. Fun fact, I met Leo when I was in 7th grade because my uncle was the hair and makeup artist just hair, on Growing Pains. And for my bat mitzvah gift, I was flown out to the set of Growing Pains because I loved Kirk Cameron because I have no taste. And Kirk Cameron is an insane person. We can all agree.
Yeah,
but I was obsessed. And so I was in the trailer waiting. I was with Judith Light, and she was getting her makeup done, and my uncle was like, okay, are you ready? And I'll put this picture on Instagram. I have bangs. The only time in my life I have bangs. I look insane. And this is how big my ego was. I genuinely thought I possibly could date Kirk Cameron. Like I was there to proposition Kirk Cameron. So while I'm in the trailer, my uncle comes back and he's like, listen, Kirk is like running, you know, he's doing something on set, but I have somebody for you.
He's still on the phone with Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. And he goes, I have somebody for you to meet. He is one of so there were ancillary characters on Growing Pains, and Leonardo DiCaprio was on Growing Pains. And so he goes, he's your age. He's adorable. I coif his hair. He's great. So Leo comes in and I was like, ugh. And he's like, hi, like I heard Barry is your uncle. And I was like, yeah. Like I was disgusted with my uncle for wasting my time with Leonardo DiCaprio because I was there for Kirk Cameron. So I completely cold shoulder Leo. And so Leo, after a few minutes of me blatantly ignoring him, was like, I guess I'll go back to my trailer. And I was like, why didn't you do that? Yeah.
Oh
Because
my
you're
gosh.
blocking the entrance to this one with your bullshit, and Kirk's going to be here any minute. So when Kirk does get there, I take this ridiculous photo where my entire, I'm in 7th grade and Kirk Cameron's an adult male. And I am like hugging in a tree trunk, and I'm wearing this stupid purple hoodie. Terrible outfit choice. Thanks, Mom.
Crazy bangs.
Yes, the bangs were so just like a lump because I didn't know how to do them, and I have curly hair, and you shouldn't have bangs.
Yeah.
Anyways, we blew this photo up for my bat mitzvah.
Oh, I didn't know where that sentence was going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so the point is, years go by. I see Titanic. I fall in love with Leonardo DiCaprio like everyone else did, and I'm like, man, I'm the only person ever that had a shot with Leo. Legitimate shot with Leo.
I would have pulled you up on that door, Leo.
Yeah. So I decide I'm making it my mission to get back to Leo. So I spend the summers in New York in interning. But I'm reading Us Weeklies and People, and I'm going with my best friend Julie to Bond Street, where I can only afford edamame, and just sitting at the bar, eating as slowly as I can the edamame, just waiting for him to walk in. Please, please, all summer long. I'm there. I was there. I was 19 years old. I was just everywhere I went, just please, I know where he goes. I just went everywhere Leo went because I wanted to meet him so badly. And finally, it wasn't a place that I had assumed I'd see him at. I was at Lot 61. It was an epic night. At this point, I had made some famous friends, and we had tables. And I am with Julie, and she's like, okay, don't freak out. Leonardo DiCaprio just walked in, and I was like, holy shit, it's go time. And so I'm so excited.
So
I'm so
immediately
excited.
discarded what she said.
Yeah. So and this is a lesson for any of you listening. If you see somebody that you like, that you want to take a picture with, or you want to talk to, don't do that thing where you're like, I'm gonna let them have a minute. No, because if you let them have a minute, you're not gonna get that picture. You're not gonna exchange numbers. It's not gonna happen for you. So I didn't give it a minute. As soon as he walked in, I beelined it. I didn't even, Julie's trying to kind of run after me so that I don't look like I'm there by myself. But I just went for it. And so I was like, this is going to sound really crazy, but do you remember? And I dropped my uncle's name, and he's like, yes, of course. I worked with him on set forever. And I was like, that's my uncle. We met when I was in 7th grade. I have always regretted this. And he thought the story was hysterical.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And he was with a bunch of his guys, he travels with an entourage of dudes. And he was like, yeah, he's like, we're not going to stay at Lot 61 that long. So do you want me to we're going to go to an after party after this? And I was like, yes. And this
Wait, how old are you at this point?
19.
Ooh.
And this is before the advent of text messaging. And yes, I had a cell phone, but it was you really had to be an emergency to use it. And so it wasn't so commonplace to exchange numbers. So he's like, I'll grab you before we leave. I was like, okay, I'm right over there. And I just stared at him until he was ready to go. And so he comes over like he said he would. And he's like, all right, we're getting out of here. And I was like, okay. So I was like, Julie, get your shit. And so me and Julie jump in a cab behind him and his boys just for the room purposes. At this time, there's obviously no Uber. He didn't have a car service. He just got in a New York taxi cab, and there was a line of them out front. So we just jump in the one behind him. And I tell
put one of you guys in his cab.
Yeah, well, we didn't, and we didn't exchange numbers, and the driver lost him, and that was the last time I saw Leo.
What did you do?
But I was the right age at that time. See, I can't get Leo now, but at 19,
that was
maybe.
going to go down. Yeah. Now, do you think it would have still gone down because he knows your uncle?
He definitely, it was obvious my story tracked. I really did meet him. And, I don't have the photo to prove it because I have a photo with Judith Light that nobody needed. But I refused to take one with Leo because he was too small potatoes for me.
Oh.
But, yeah, he was lovely. And, I have nothing bad to say about him. But, obviously, now I am aged out of the market of possibly dating Leo.
You've aged out of the market. But right then, if you had to put every cent that you own, red or black, it was going to go down or not, where are you pushing your chips? That night, had the cab driver not lost him, honestly, what do you think would have went down?
Part of me thinks that he was just being nice because it is my uncle and there was something there. But another piece of me thinks why bother being nice to the chick? I think I was probably if I was the UCF, I was the safety school. He knew I was into it. He was like, just get her in a cab. We'll see what else is at the party. If not, this one. And I'm fine with that.
Hey, backup quarterback, best job on the team.
Yeah, you don't
I got
get
my
injured.
helmet, coach. Put me in.
Yeah.
That's what's okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So, final verdict. Is it creepy? Because I guess, yes, of course it's creepy. I guess. But that's what he prefers. And when you have endless money, wouldn't anybody have, what if you preferred to be bathed or to be fed, somebody to cut your food up? That's all weird stuff.
Yeah.
What if you wanted a massage 10 times a day? That's kind of weird. But when you have money, it's like you can do whatever you want. So if you want 24-year-olds,
But
you can have that.
Sure.
I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying you can.
here's the main issue is that it's probably partially that there's lots of hot girls that are 25, 20, 30, but he's
Yuck.
going for that age probably because mentally he needs to dominate you, or there's a mental aspect that's probably a little not great. But I love Leo, and until he goes under 18, I stand behind him. Until he R. Kelly's this, I am fine with whatever you do, Leo, and I am still around. Okay,
And
I'm still available.
And dare I say, you look amazing.
Oh, thank you.
You look amazing. All my homeboys are like, damn, yeah. I'm like, that's the homie. That's how my friends roll. All my female friends are super attractive,
Yes,
and I
they are.
realize it's such an advantage for somebody like me because I'm around hot women all day. So I'm like a strip club DJ.
Yes.
It does nothing to me. So while other dudes are panicked and flustered around attractive women, I'm like, yo, what's up? Hey, your zipper's undone. Like I don't care. And it's really, if you're like a regular dude like I am, find a way to work around hot chicks. And because once you get used to it, you're not panicked like, oh my God, look at that blonde. Look, because when I first went to LA, just having meetings with potential managers, they're receptionists. I was like, I would kill a family member to smell your hair. That's how
I
hot
drink your
you are.
bathwater.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like, yeah, you're good looking. Good for you.
That's how I feel about athletes. Like I'm usually there's never been a point in time where I'm not cool around athletes because I don't really follow sports and I've just been around them my whole life. But I'm very uncool. Certain there's certain. I once really freaked out in front of Liam Neeson, and like I think about it once a month. It's just so embarrassing. I was freaking out so badly. It was backstage at a Comedy Central roast, and he just looked at me and he goes, "Just take a deep breath." And I was like, "Oh God, this is not going."
That?
Just take a deep breath. I'm just like a regular person. And I was like, and my best friend Matt got the hook. He was like, "You're done now. Now you're done.
Yeah.
Okay, this is enough."
And you should have told him, Liam, regular people don't say, I'm just a regular person. You're not. You're untaken.
I mean, it was very embarrassing. But anyways, okay, let's get to your emails.
Yes.
Please, who can I help?
Well, and first of all, we're gonna talk to our boy Joshua.
Okay.
I call him Jay. That's how we roll. But we'll call him Joshua. And he reaches out to both of us. He says, hi, Al and Corinne. What's up, man? First of all, as a former listener and patron, nice Al, patron of Corinne's old podcast, I'm so happy to once again hear her voice. Looking forward to hearing
Josh.
many more amazing stories from the two of you. What a pleasant way to kick an email off.
I know.
Wow.
Listen, my patrons from my last podcast are the greatest, and
Yes.
I couldn't do anything without them. I wouldn't be on this mic if I didn't have that kind of support. So, all right, what does he need? How can I help him?
Let's get to it. He says, my question is this. Under what circumstances, if any, can a long-distance relationship work? Last month, I was traveling internationally and met someone special. We've stayed in touch and like each other a lot, but I would have to leave my job and likely take a big pay cut in order to move thousands of miles away to her home country. Oof. And she is very family-oriented, and I'm not sure she would be willing to leave her family to move to America. Can you envision a way in which things could work out between us? And if so, what would that look like? If it helps, we are both in our mid-20s. That does help. I am 5 years out of college, and she is about to start nursing school after finishing her mandatory military service. So I'm thinking, Israel?
Those are hot chicks.
Yes, Israeli. That's Gal Gadot.
Yes.
Thanks in advance for your advice, Josh. Shout out, Josh.
Okay. So I have some ups and downs here. So first and foremost, I have dated internationally, and of all the people I've ever dated in my life, that's the one person that I wish it worked out with.
Wow.
And the way that we met is I had a friend, actually, sex club guy that I went with was just dicking me around
We'll
for
just
years.
call him Joy Luck Club.
Yeah, yeah. Joy No Luck Club. So he was dicking me around for years, and he never really wanted anything. And I was just like, well, hat and cane. How can I do this? I'll be a voyeur. So eventually, his best friend, who lived out of state but visited all the time, really took a liking to me because, like, I'm usually good with other dudes. I'm not so good with girls, but the best friend really adored me, and he's like, look, I don't know if this is the right thing or not, but I have a great guy that I'd like to hook you up with. He lives in Switzerland, but he is a very wealthy man. And I just think you guys would really hit it off. And I was like, but I'm dating this person. And he's like, yeah, you're the only person that thinks you're dating him. So he's like, for your benefit, I think this is better. And I, we don't have to say that I had anything to do with it. He goes, they do know each other peripherally, but like, I don't think original Joy Luck is going to care.
Right.
So I go, all right. So we start WhatsApping each other. He's from Germany, but he lives in Switzerland. And oh my God, he's a fucking god. So he says to me, he goes, I'd like to come in and court you. I'll come in for like 2 weeks. I'll come visit you in LA. When he lands and he gets off this plane, I am like, how is this a real person? And then he's wearing a ring that I thought was like a wedding band of sorts, because I don't know anything about wedding bands. And I was like, oh, okay, you forgot to take your ring off. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry. This is actually a, what do you call it? It denotes that he's a baron.
Oh, my goodness.
It's the plaque thing, the shield, what do you call the
family crest?
Yeah, it's like a family, but he's a baron, and he's very cool, like he wasn't trying to brag, but I am now like, I could get married at Cinderella's castle, the real one. He's a German baron.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness.
I tried very hard to keep this ball in the air, which is where I'm going here. It didn't matter to me that he lived in Switzerland. I would have happily, I am very mobile, and I was like very into him. So we started doing this long distance
You take the
thing.
ring off and put it in your finger. I'm good. Let's go.
Yeah.
Just walking right to departures.
Yeah. I let's just turn right around. I don't need to say goodbye to anyone. I don't need to pack anything. We're good. I'll send my parents a letter. So I tried to do this, and it's hard, like long distance like that. But we communicated regularly. He was flying back and forth. He had business dealings in Miami, so I was flying down to Miami.
Wait, give us a timeline. How long is this going on?
Not long enough. I mean, I maybe kept the ball in the air for like 4 months. One of my best friends had a big Halloween party. She has a house in Cincinnati. And he flew to Cincinnati, and like my friends he was so lovable. Everyone loved him. And then eventually he was just like, I don't want, this is too much effort. And I was like, stop, let me just move there. And he's like, yes, but I travel all the time. I'm never home. So you're going to be resentful. Like you're just going to be living in Switzerland. I was like, I promise I won't.
Right.
I'll go to the local pub every day. I'll make friends at Jazzercise.
Right.
I'll figure it out.
I'll walk around the castle till you get back, bro.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. Just get the chef to make me some egg whites and like, let's call it. So, all right. What I say to you, Josh, is that first and foremost, you have to go back and forth a bunch of times to decide if this is going to work, because you don't want to get there and figure out it's not going to work. But I very much think it can. And I'll give you one other example before I let Al weigh in. My friend Allie from my second season of Survivor, she was in Ibiza, and she met a guy who was Australian, and she tells me she's like, I'm gonna marry him. I'm gonna move, I'm gonna move to Australia. And they long distance dated. She sold all of her possessions. She was at the airport about to go to Australia, and he's like, I don't think this is a good idea. And she's like,
shut up.
I'm coming either way, because now I don't even have a mattress. So she flew out there. That ended up working out. He now lives in the States with her. They have a kid. They lived happily ever after, and they met in Ibiza.
Wow.
So
she bullied him in America.
She did.
No, dog,
she called like his sister, and she was like, tell this motherfucker that I will be moving there. And there is no getting out of it now. Yeah. So I've seen this work. I mean, it didn't work for me, sadly. I could have been a baroness.
Why didn't you just go there one time and be like, I can't find my return flight. I'm scared. I have anxiety.
My passport. Yeah. He's married to some supermodel now.
Okay, here are my thoughts. And I'm in complete agreement. I think that this must be said. Josh seems like a very gentlemanly type
I'm excited.
Dude.
This is exciting.
So I will. First of all, and this is why I'm telling you it's hot, because he wouldn't be emailing or talking about going transcontinentally if she wasn't a smoke show.
Yes.
He saw this woman, and his life has not been the same since. He has gone over different scenarios, and he's looking for one to either say, go ahead and do it, or this is ridiculous, that could have happened, but like the Erykah Badu song, I'll see you next lifetime. It's not going to work. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you something, Josh. Much like the woman that I was in love with for years and then let it build up too long, and then post-strip club, it didn't build up enough, you have to go for it. I swear he has to go for it, because if he does not,
it's the one that got away.
It'll even if he meets a better mate on paper than her,
you'll always wonder. if I may, one of the things that I'm going to say, Josh, you know that I'm going to say that I don't like that you're going somewhere without a job. I'm going to need you. First of all, I'm going to need you to take your time here. If you're going to move there, let's give it, 6 months of talking, FaceTiming every day. Let's save some money up. Mm-hmm. Let's get like some feelers out there for what you're going to do work-wise, because what's definitely not a good relationship is you're the lump on the couch while she's in nursing school and you don't find a job for a year. That will destroy everything. But also, I love that you're so young, because that's the move where you go, all right, it didn't work.
This is the time to mess up. Yeah, you're not taking your kids out of school. You're not mixing 401ks or anything like that, or leaving your gig 11 years before retirement. This is the time to go. She is, I guarantee she's smoking. And Josh, I just say go for it. I know it's not ideal to go somewhere without a job, but my thing with that is, yeah, it's not ideal, but what is he going to do? Wither and die on the street, panhandling?
No, but you would want to have a little bit, like I would get a little bit of a nest egg before you head over there, because it's just, if
what 25-year-olds do you know have nest eggs?
I had one.
Of course you did.
They paid well at that bottle waitressing job, let me tell you. I made more in that year of my career than I ever have to this day.
I say you go for it. I can speak for a broke dude. I think he's probably somewhere in the middle of us. I went to Spain with my boy Quay. He's a doctor now.
I love that name.
We landed, he's Ugandan. We landed in Spain. We were going to be there for 2 weeks. I had $300 in cash with me. We bought
scares the shit out of me.
Peanut butter and jelly. And we ate it, and we kicked it. We met people. We got a job kind of working at this because we were from America. And and like we knew hip hop. So this is back before like you could just get any song that you wanted. And we had CDs with us. So bars were like, "Can you bring your mix CD?"
Oh my God! Wow.
They were still playing like Young MC over there, and like we were like we got the new stuff,
right?
So
well,
it's
they're
like
always like 10 years behind.
Yeah. So like I mean we made money and drinks and but it's like, if we had thought about it, like, let's save up a little bit more, it's never a good time for anything. It's only a good time for something that minute, that day. We're out of food. Let's do this now. We need to replace the roof. It's never like, you never go, hey, I got 40 grand extra to fix this roof. You just fix it now, or in 2 years, it's going to be 150 grand. It's like, it's always going to suck until you get there, and you will figure it out. Our parents didn't have the internet. They knew nothing. They figured it out. Their parents knew less than them. They figured it out. Josh, figure it out, bro. Get a ticket. Go over there and figure it out. You see how she interacts with her moms. See how their dad takes to you. See her dynamic with the family. And just see if they mess with you, if you like her, and then make it happen, bro. We all die at the end of this, dog.
It's also so romantic that a guy is moving overseas for me.
Yeah. I think, or maybe she'd come back to America.
It doesn't sound like that's an option, at least not while she's in nursing school and she's super close to her family.
And the military service.
But you never know, because like Allie went to Australia and then they ended up, they're raising their kid in New Jersey, or New York.
Yeah.
I love this for you, Josh. Please give us a follow-up.
Get that green card popping. Mm-hmm. Yes, we need lots of follow-ups, and we're going to follow up with a bunch more emails. We're already at an hour 30, so we have to wrap this up.
But you know what? Please go to the Instagram page. It's just the same as the podcast. My safe word is more, because we put tons of pictures that are really fun, because like we don't have a visual component. And if you want to see things, I'm very good about making Al give me the stuff to upload, and everything will be on there. So head on over there and comment. Tell us what you want to see.
Yes.
You can also, if you really want to, you can send us emails through that chat.
But what if they just want to contact you, Corinne? What should they do?
At Corinne Sanity on the old Twitter and Instagram, and then at Corinne Kaplan on TikTok. How about you, Alfred?
They can find me on Twitter at Al Jackson, on Instagram at Al Jackson IG, and on TikTok at Al Jackson 24/7. For this incredible podcast that has been My Safe Word Is More, I'm Al Jackson. That is the incredible
Corinne Kaplan. Did that sound professional?
That sounded super professional. Puff of smoke.
Bye, guys.